When you purchase a GMRS radio, most of the time it's going to come with software that's designed to run under Windows. That would be Windows 10, Windows 7, or something like that. I personally run a Linux machine, so I don't have a version of Windows normally. What I do is I have a virtual machine running Windows 10, and then I pass through the USB device to that virtual machine so that it can run the programming software for the radio. What I want to do is get rid of that virtual machine that does nothing but run that software and just run that software under Linux. And the application that runs Windows application is called Wine. It's not compatible with every application that's out there, but it will run most of these radio applications that are here. So I'm going to install Wine on this Ubuntu 2204 system. You could go to the command line and you could do a apt install Wine, and that'll install what you need. Or you can go to your software center and search for Wine, and it should come up with Wine here. Now I noticed under Ubuntu they ship a version that is a 6.03, and the current version that's available is Wine 7.0. The current development version is 7.14. Let's see here. They have in Ubuntu a 6.03, but they did have a development version here. Let's see what they got there. It's also a 6.0. So I'm going to try installing from the package manager that came with Ubuntu and see if that version will work. I'm going to go over to my log directory, cd bar log. And in Ubuntu, the log file is syslog, I believe. So I will do a tail-f syslog. And that's just going to give me the system messages. You need to know what your device is detected as. So I'm going to plug this USB programming cable for the DB20G. I'm going to plug it in and see what it is detected as. Don't see it yet. Let's see. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, once I plug that in, it detected it at TTY USB 0. So that's where my serial port is as far as Linux is concerned. Trying to run version 6 was a complete and total failure, so I'm going to try to install the latest version of Wine from the instructions on the Wine homepage. It tells me to enable this i386 architecture, which I will do. Got it twice. All right, accepted that with no error. It wants me to download the repository key. So I'll do that. Copy. I will paste that in. It doesn't need to be in that directory though, so let me get out of this directory. Let me actually get rid of that whole Wine directory. That's from the 6.0 version. So let's paste in getting the key. So I've got the key. It wants to add the repository. I'm running 2204. So I will copy this command, which is here. Okay, it says to do a sudo apt update. We'll copy that. And the wine stuff is way up here at the top. Now it says if you want to install stable, which I do, I want to do that. It says unable to load package winehq stable. After running a apt search on winehq, it appears that the stable version is not available in the repository that they listed. So I'm going to try the staging version, which is here. And it says it wants to install, and I'll say yes. And I'm seeing Wine Staging is downloading and installing. I'm going to cancel that. Thought it would tell me the version. Oh, there we go. It's wine dash version. Okay, doing the install from the staging, I got wine version 7.1.4, which should work a lot better. So if I do a wine config, and you notice it's changed here because it's a different version, Windows 10. The desktop integration is still there. Apply and OK. Now if I go to my software that I downloaded, I have the option to select the Wine Windows program loader. So I'll select that. Next, and install. Now you can launch it from here and hit finish. And I try to make that screen smaller each time. But it also adds something to your applications menu under Wine. Any program that you install will be listed here. So let's go see what it thinks my DOS device is. Here's cd.wine. Okay, it still has a holdover for COM33. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to remove, and I'm going to create a symbolic link to COM3. So now I'm going to go into my software and I'm going to set the COM port to COM3. COM3. I'm going to start recording for the third time on the other camera. Somebody talking over there. So I'm going to read from the radio. And you see it says it's reading. I'll turn the volume down over here. There you can see it read everything from a radio. I've got the GMRS channels in here. I've got some of the local Dallas police frequencies in here. I've got the ham talk channels in here for what is it? It's 2 meter and 70 centimeter. I'm not into ham stuff yet. I'm just learning about it. And I believe that's all I have in here. Okay, so when you go back up, if I were to make any changes in here, let's say I wanted to copy that. Now the software doesn't tell you this, but you can click on one of these numbers and hit Control-C to copy, and then click on where you want to paste it and hit Control-V. So let's say, what if this, let's go in and modify this. When you double click the double arrows to modify, let's say this one had a different tone on it. Let's set it to 173.8. 173.8. Let's give it a different name. Let's give it 726, for example. Blah, blah, blah. Let's, we don't want to scan this one, so we're going to put it on scan skip. And we're going to hit OK. Then we want to save that file. So we'll do a save as. And if you look under your documents, this is the actual documents folder that's on my Linux box. So I know I've got a folder called radio under documents. And I'm going to save this file. DB20G. Today is the 10th. And this is the wine version. That could be any name that you want. Just make sure you include the .dat extension or it'll get confused. So I'll hit save there. And then I can actually open that file. And it's right there. And you can see the name changed here. And it's got all the settings that I put in. So now the other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you can write to the write your settings back. So let me start recording again. So when I go back, I want to program and write to the radio. Tell it to write. It says, "Do you want to? Are you sure?" And I say yes. And you see it says writing there. You notice there it said welcome Anytone. I noticed that sometimes you have to go into this setup right here. And I had a setup there, but it's gone, so I'll have to put it back in. But if you see that setting is not showing up where you type in a custom display name here, just type it in here and hit OK, and then write it to the radio again. So that's the Radioddity software. So I'm going to exit out of the Radioddity software, go back into my downloads folder. Let's sort this by modified. Get to the top. Come on. And let's install the RAR was the Anytone software. So if I double click that, I would extract that to my downloads folder, show the files, and get rid of that. Should be at the top here, but of course it's not. It was called Anytone. Oh, that's because the compressed file has a different access date. So if I set it back A to Z and look for that Anytone, I will find it somewhere. Oh my. I don't see it. I don't see the Anytone software. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. It's even highlighted. It's AT779UV. When I right click that, I have an option to open with wine. If you don't see wine here, hit open with other and look for wine under there. If you have like a version 7 or higher, again, it'll probably be there. And the setup looks exactly the same. Tells you where it's installing it. I don't want a desktop icon. And it says launch the AT. And it comes up with just two options there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can make that larger. Future edit here. I found the solution to the very small fonts in the application. If you run the winecfg again, the winecfg, when it opens up, go into the graphics section, and under the screen resolution here, you want to adjust this slider. I found that about 144 it seems to look good, so I set it to 144. And then I go back into the application, which is the DB20. The fonts look much nicer. They're a little bit larger and they're a little easier to see. Doesn't look like it can. Again, I'm going to go in and set the COM port, COM3. Again, I'm pressing the letter C to go through the COM ports, and I'm hitting OK. And this, again, is the Anytone software. Getting this other camera set up, and I'm going to program read from radio. Are you sure? Yes. And you can see there it reads from the radio. Let's read completed, and there's all the settings that are in the radio. And remember, I set this one to 173.8. And if you double click that, it does nothing at all. You can't type in there. You have to double click here on the double arrows. And I'm going to change this again. Let's change it to 189.9. 189.9. Let's go OK. I'm going to save a copy of this file. And again, I want to save it in my documents under radio. Where's radio? Radio. I'm going to call this Anytone. Um, 08/10/2022 wine. Again, the name can be anything you want. I normally put what type of device it is and the date. So I'm going to save it. And I'm going to make sure I can open it. So there's the Anytone, and I can open it. And again, I'm going to make sure that I can write. So I'm going to start recording, and I'm going to write it to the radio. And it's writing. And just to show you, I'm in the Anytone software, but I've got that file that I saved in the, what do you call that? The Radioddity. So I'm going to tell it to open that file that I saved with the Radioddity software. So when I hit open, it opens it fine because they're all the same radios, so it knows how to open it. All right. And again, once you install that and you look under Applications Wine, there's your Anytone software. And then there's your Radioddity software. So if I go back to the files that I downloaded, I'm looking for last modified. So those are basic steps that you would do for all those little Windows type applications that come with the radios. Now Chirp is a little different because it will work with different radios, like the little bow things that you have out there. And most of the bow things will work. So I'm just going to install the bow of the Chirp software. I'm not actually going to write to the radio. Just to show you how it's done. Again, you downloaded a file called Chirp Installer. You want to open it with Wine. You hit next, you hit I agree. Just take the defaults. You hit finish, and you look under applications, under wine, and there's your chirp icon. It says error reporting is enabled. To disable, go ahead in the help menu. So I'll go help, and I will disable the option that says report statistics. So I'm in the Chirp software. The nice thing about the Chirp software is you can open a stop config. For example, you can open all of the GMRS channels, which I'm searching for right now. All right, it says FRS and GMRS. You can open that, and it will bring in all the channels with the frequencies and all the information already there for you. So then you can go ahead and write that information to your radio. And if you have a subscription at radioreference.com, you can import directly from here. So you type your username, you type your password, you type your zip code, and it will give you a list of all the channels that are available in your area. That could be your local police, fire departments. That could be the sheriff's office also. It'll list all the frequencies for the airports in the area as well. So you have to have an account on radioreference.com to actually do that query though. But it will put all of that information into Chirp, and then from Chirp, you can send it to your radio. So that was a quick introduction on getting your Windows software that is designed to program your radios to run under Linux. This is running under Ubuntu Linux. Again, Ubuntu comes with a 6.0 version, which did not work, and I had all kinds of problems with. I had to go to the Wine webpage and follow their instructions for downloading and installing a version of Wine, which was the 7.14. That 7.14 also comes by default on a Fedora system, and that worked fine. I just did a DNF install Wine on my Fedora system, and everything came up fine. Just remember, the only issue is you have to make sure that your COM port is detected correctly. If you're plugging in a USB device, it's normally going to be TTY USB 0. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and click that like button. I'll see you in the next video. And I'm